And welcome back. We are continuing with non-combat round number 3. There's a couple groups that still have to do something during round 3, and that is the goblins over here with the ballista. Now Shreesh is here behind the cart. We'll assume she's not standing like that. We'll assume she's crouched, kind of tucked in there. But now that she's no longer invisible, there may be a chance that the goblins can see her from where they're at. Maybe just really lucky. So we will do a highly unlikely chance. So the reds and the blacks are I'm going to do 3. The reds and the blacks are the no's, and then the blue die is a yes. So the question is, do the goblins see her behind the cart somehow now that she's no longer invisible? The red 6 is high. That's a no. They do not see her. And the last group that needs to do something are these big gnolls over here that are working on the stones. We can assume that their weapons are down. Now the big question is, will the Alhoon, now that the Alhoon has seen something, does he signal over to the gnolls to tell them to stop working? Okay, so we have a maybe, but I'm going to do the roll. Okay, no on a 3 because it's an odd. So now we get into a situation where Shreesh probably thinks she did just fine. She thinks she did her Misty Step into position, and although she's no longer visible, there's no indication from anywhere that anything is wrong. So we get into the question of surprise. Would the DM award the bad guys surprise on this, since they know not necessarily that she is there, but the Alhoon knows that something is there, and with the way that something got into position there, if the Alhoon knows anything, and they do know a lot, that Alhoon could probably assume that it's probably not an animal of any sort. Does the DM award a surprise round to the bad guys here if we go to initiative? Yes, the DM does. Alright, so I don't think we really need to actually roll for initiative. The initiative is going to be bad guys first, and then Shreesh. Since she's going to have a surprise round against her, she's going to be taking incoming. It's not going to be good. Now, from the player side of the table, the player might protest and say, hey, wait a minute. She knows they're there, so surprise round isn't fair. So that would be something she'd have to talk the DM into. And since we don't know who the DM is, and every DM has a different personality and agenda when playing these games, I guess we'll just do a random, no probability stack. Does the player get the DM to backtrack on the surprise round? Sorry, my camera cut off. Here's the roll. Yes. The DM does back down and change his course. So that means we would roll initiative rather than having a surprise round. So let's roll for Shreesh. She has a +2 on her initiative. See what she gets. 13 for her. Now the Alhoon's dex is a +1 for initiative. So let's see what he gets. Oh, he does not do well. Only a 7. So man, does this save her bacon. She's going to get to go first. So the protest paid off. Okay, so now we transition from non-combat initiative to actual combat initiative. Shreesh will go first. Now the thing we have to do and remember is everything we've just done is kind of off table behind the scenes, the character Shreesh herself has no idea that she gets to go first or anything like that. She's just sitting there thinking, gosh, you know, so far so good. What should I do next? So let's figure that out for her. So the tricky part about this for us is that since we know everything, the meta-knowledge is high here. This would be a perfect place, for example, for her to go, okay, let me just conjure my elemental as a distraction. So there's a chance that the player would have thought of that in truth. So in this case, I think it's actually going to be a good thing to roll the fate dice and find out if the actual player... hang on, I have to correct myself. Not the actual player, the actual character herself would decide, yeah, let's conjure the elemental right now. So let's roll no probability stacking on this and see if the player actually makes that decision.
Not the player, fool. The character.
Nope. So that relieves us of some of our bias guilt. So let's see what else she could do. Her agenda is to just get off that side of the board. So what could she do next? Looking at her spells and her cantrips. Wow. She could Misty Step again. She has one second level spell slot left. If there's an opening over here, there's nothing in this section from where she is. She could Misty Step over here. And maybe if she, I forget what the range is, I'll look it up for the Misty Step. If she could get into that wood there, that would be the best thing. Unfortunately, the Misty Step only has a teleportation range of 30 feet. So that's gonna be a little harder. Okay, so I've had some great players at my table who play wizards. And invariably, no matter the level of their wizard character or how proficient or whatever, they're always very careful with these wizard characters. So it really doesn't make sense for Shreesh to want to go toe-to-toe with the Alhoon there. So a good plan for her might be to just simply try to restrain that thing with Evard's black tentacles. It's not an aggressive attack, but since he landed, if she could just restrain him, then she could possibly Misty Step over here. Well, 30 feet will probably get her to about there. So Misty Step's a bonus action. And then she could dash as her action toward the wood. And these guys, I mean, she would just appear right there out of nowhere and just start running. So that might be a logical plan for her. But what Shreesh does not know about the Alhoon, as a matter of fact, she doesn't even know it's an Alhoon. She just thinks it's weird that a Mind Flayer can fly. So it will have advantage when rolling against her Evard's black tentacles. And the other thing that this thing has is negate spell. And the Alhoon targets one creature you can see within 60 feet. So the thing is, words are very important with these things, I've learned. And it says that it can see. It was a good thing that Shreesh jumped behind the cart, because that will kill this negate spell reaction for the Alhoon. So she'll only have to worry about, or I should say she doesn't know this, but she will find out by what happens that the Alhoon has advantage on saving throw against a spell. Shreesh also knows her own spell very well. And she knows that if it doesn't work, the creature will remain unrestrained and will be tipped off that a spell was just cast against it. So considering her victory conditions, and considering that this plan is more in line with what she would most likely do, I'm not sure we really need to do a roll for this. when you do solo play, you can actually make player decisions for your PC. I'm kind of doing that a little bit, and also like we did earlier just now, where the dice might make things more fair, or at least make it so that we can live with it without, realizing that our bias overtook the whole situation. I think we're going to go with this. So she's going to try to cast Evard's Black Tentacles on this Alhoon, and let's see how she does. She doesn't have to roll anything. So what happens is you get a 20-foot square there where the Alhoon, these black tentacles, squishy, squirmy, slimy tentacles just pop up. And so the Alhoon gets a chance to avoid that by doing a saving throw. Let's see what happens. All right, so the Alhoon rolls against her. Spell save DC, it says here on her sheet, is 17. He gets a +1. So let's see how he does. Oh, he rolls a 20. She is not able to restrain him.